Ever find yourself forgetting something like minutes after you learned it? It's like
Yeah.
our brains are full of leaky buckets.
Right.
Today, we're diving into the science of learning,
Yeah.
unpacking this academic paper on instructional strategies and content development
Okay.
to try to figure out how to patch those leaks and make learning stick.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? We often think about education as just this transfer of information.
Right.
But if we don't think about how people learn best, it's like pouring water into a sieve.
Totally. It's about understanding how to create those aha moments
Yeah.
that transform information from just these fleeting facts to like lasting knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This paper dives into the difference between just like presenting information and crafting engaging learning experiences.
Yeah.
It's not just about the what, it's about the how.
So let's unpack that, how
Oh,
the
yeah.
paper kicks off with instructional strategies.
Right.
Basically, the nuts and bolts of how we learn.
Yeah.
And the first thing that jumped out at me is this emphasis on active learning. It's not just about passively absorbing information. It's about actively engaging with it.
Think about a time you really mastered a new skill.
Okay.
Chances are it didn't stick just from reading about it.
Yeah.
You had to actually do the thing,
Right.
make mistakes, and learn from those missteps.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, I can read cookbooks all day long,
Mm-hmm.
but until I'm in the kitchen, elbows deep in flour,
Yeah.
I'm not really learning to cook.
Right.
So how do we as learners or even as educators encourage that active learning process?
This paper highlights the importance of iteration and feedback,
Okay.
and this is key for both sides of the learning equation.
Interesting.
It's about creating a constant feedback loop where both students and educators are assessing,
Right.
adjusting, and improving along the way.
So it's a two-way street, not just the teacher evaluating the student.
Precisely.
I like that.
Think of it like a coach and an athlete.
Okay.
The coach provides guidance and feedback based on the athlete's performance,
Yeah.
and the athlete uses that feedback to refine their technique.
Makes sense.
It's a dynamic process of continuous improvement.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We're not robots programmed to absorb information perfectly the first time.
Right.
So we've talked about the how, the instructional strategies.
Right.
But what about the what? What makes for truly effective and engaging learning content?
Well, this is where content development comes in.
Okay.
And the paper stresses that it all starts with the learner.
Okay, so we're not just throwing information into the void and hoping it sticks.
Right.
Tell me more about that.
Imagine you're a tailor crafting a custom suit.
Okay.
You wouldn't use the same measurements and fabric for every single person, right?
Right.
Content development is similar.
Okay.
You have to understand your learner,
Mhm.
their needs,
Mhm.
their preferences,
Right.
their goals,
Yeah.
and even their existing knowledge.
So it's about creating educational experiences that fit like a glove, not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just like a tailor uses a pattern to guide their work, educators use learning objectives.
Okay.
These are clearly defined goals that state what the learner should know or be able to do by the end of the learning experience.
So instead of broadly saying, learn about history,
Right.
a learning objective might be analyze primary source documents to understand the causes of the French Revolution.
You got it.
Okay.
Clear objectives provide a roadmap for both the educator and the learner,
Right.
ensuring that everything is aligned and moving towards a specific goal.
Makes sense.
And, just like a good tailor uses a variety of fabrics and techniques,
Okay.
effective content utilizes diverse formats to cater to different learning styles.
This podcast, for example, is using varied audio,
Right.
a conversational style,
Yeah.
and hopefully some humor to help keep you engaged
Mm-hmm.
and those leaky bucket brains from losing everything.
Precisely. Engaging the senses and varying the delivery methods helps make the information more memorable and impactful. And this ties into a crucial point the paper makes: the connection between instructional strategies and content development.
Okay.
They're not separate entities. They work hand in hand.
It's like a perfectly choreographed dance.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Instructional strategies and content development have to work in harmony.
Right.
And just like a good dancer needs to be adaptable to their partner's movements.
Okay.
Effective learning environments need flexibility.
Because not everyone learns at the same pace or in the same way, right?
Exactly.
Right.
The paper emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Makes sense.
Some learners thrive in a self-directed environment,
Right.
while others might need more structure and support.
Right.
This is where the concept of blended learning comes in.
Blended learning.
Yes.
A buzzword we hear everywhere these days.
Right.
It's about combining different approaches, like mixing traditional classroom learning with online elements. Yeah.
Precisely.
Okay.
And chances are you've already experienced it. Think about classes you've taken that used online quizzes,
Right.
discussion forums, or video lectures alongside in-person sessions.
Now that you mention it, yeah, a lot of my courses in college used online platforms for assignments and supplemental materials.
It's becoming increasingly prevalent,
Yeah.
and for good reason.
Okay.
Blended learning allows educators to cater to different learning styles and create a more flexible and customized learning experience.
So we've covered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Active learning, content development, tailored to the learner, the importance of blended learning.
Yeah.
It's clear that effective learning design requires careful planning
Right.
and a deep understanding of how people learn.
Absolutely.
But what are some practical tips?
Sure.
Some tried and true strategies used by experts in instructional design.
The paper highlights several best practices.
Okay.
One that stands out is learner-centered design,
Okay.
which builds on what we discussed earlier about understanding the learner.
So it's not just about knowing your audience, but about placing them at the very core of the design process.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's about seeing the learning experience from their perspective.
Okay.
What are their goals?
Right, okay.
What motivates them?
Right.
What challenges do they face? And how can we design experiences that resonate with them,
Right.
keeping them engaged and motivated?
It's like putting on the learner's glasses and seeing the world through their eyes.
Precisely.
I like it.
And this ties into another crucial best practice the paper discusses, universal design for learning, or UDL.
UDL, that's a new one for me.
Okay.
What does that entail?
In essence, UDL is about making learning accessible to everyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their abilities,
Right.
disabilities,
Okay.
or learning differences.
Got it.
Think about how ramps and curb cuts make sidewalks accessible to people using wheelchairs.
Right.
UDL aims to do the same thing for learning.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of creating one way to learn, we're creating multiple pathways,
Right.
ensuring everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
Precisely.
I like that.
It's about providing options for how information is presented,
Okay.
how learners can engage with the material, and how they can demonstrate their understanding.
Makes sense.
The beauty of UDL is that it benefits all learners,
Right.
not just those with disabilities.
Right.
It creates a more inclusive and effective learning environment for everyone.
Now, the paper doesn't shy away from the challenges inherent in instructional design.
Right.
What are some of the hurdles that instructional designers face when creating these amazing learner-centered experiences?
One major challenge, especially in recent years, is the digital divide.
The gap between those who have access to technology and those who don't.
Exactly.
And in an increasingly digital world, that divide poses a significant barrier to education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about access to computers and the internet,
Right.
but also about digital literacy. If you're not comfortable using technology, it doesn't matter how many devices you have access to.
It's like giving someone a book written in a language they can't read.
Precisely.
Right.
Another challenge is designing for diverse learning styles, which
Right.
we've touched upon.
Yeah.
People learn in incredibly diverse ways,
Yeah.
and catering to those differences can be complex.
It's a delicate balancing act, for sure.
Yes, it is.
And then there's the constantly evolving landscape of technology itself.
Absolutely.
Right.
New tools and platforms emerge constantly,
Yeah.
requiring instructional designers to adapt and stay ahead of the curve.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of moving targets, the paper also brings up the design divide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
What does that refer to?
Think of it this way. Even if we bridge the digital divide, ensuring everyone has access to technology,
Right.
there's still the question of how that technology is used in education. The design divide refers to the inconsistencies in resources and support available to educators when implementing digital tools effectively.
So it's not just about having the tools,
Yeah.
but knowing how to use them well to create meaningful learning experiences.
Exactly.
Got it.
Two schools might have the same level of access to technology,
All right.
but if one school invests in ongoing professional development for its teachers,
Right.
training them on how to integrate those tools effectively while the other doesn't,
Yeah.
you'll see a disparity in the quality of education.
It's like having a kitchen full of fancy appliances, but not knowing how to use them.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
You might end up ordering takeout every night.
Exactly.
Addressing the design divide means ensuring educators have the training support and resources they need to leverage technology effectively and create engaging and inclusive learning experiences.
And to navigate the choppy waters of rapid technological change,
Yeah.
we need all the support we can get.
Absolutely. But even with these challenges, It's clear that instructional design is a field driven by passionate individuals dedicated to making learning more effective and accessible for everyone.
Right.
And one way they do this is by examining real-world applications of these principles through case studies,
Okay.
which this paper delves into next.
Case studies. They're like real-world labs for
Yes.
learning, right? You get to peek into different educational settings and see how these theories actually play out.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Case studies provide a valuable window into the messy realities of implementing instructional strategies and content development with all their triumphs and challenges.
So it's not just hypothetical situations.
Yeah.
We're looking at actual classrooms, workplaces, or online learning environments.
Exactly.
Right.
And what's great about case studies is that they highlight both successes and failures,
Okay.
offering valuable lessons for educators and learners alike.
Because let's face it, we learn as much from our mistakes as we do from our successes, sometimes even more.
Absolutely. And case studies provide a safe space to analyze those mistakes, understand what went wrong,
Right.
and explore alternative approaches.
It's like a flight simulator for educators.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
They can test out different strategies, experiment with new technologies, and refine their approach without the high stakes of a real-world classroom.
And the paper provides a useful framework for analyzing case studies.
Yes.
It's not just about reading a story and saying, that's interesting.
Right.
There's a structure to it,
Yeah.
a way to systematically extract meaningful insights.
Precisely.
Okay.
One key element is identifying the central challenge or problem presented in the case study.
Right.
What's the core issue that needs to be addressed?
It's like detective work.
Right.
You're gathering clues,
Yes.
piecing together evidence, and trying to understand not just what happened, but why.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once you've identified the problem,
Right.
the next step is to consider the different perspectives involved.
Oh.
Who are the key players? Right.
What are their motivations, their constraints, their biases?
Because every story has multiple sides.
Absolutely. And understanding those different viewpoints is crucial for gaining a holistic understanding of the situation.
Makes sense.
It's about empathy,
Okay.
stepping into the shoes of others and trying to see the world through their eyes.
And once you've explored those different perspectives, then you can start brainstorming potential solutions.
Right.
What are the possible courses of action?
Yes.
What are the potential consequences of each choice?
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about carefully weighing the options,
Right.
considering the trade-offs,
Right.
and ultimately making a decision based on the best available information.
And even then, the learning doesn't stop.
Right.
Reflecting on the outcome is crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did the chosen solution work?
Right.
What were the unintended consequences?
Okay.
What could have been done differently?
It's a continuous loop of analysis, reflection, and refinement.
And the paper mentions that case studies are often paired with complementary readings
Yes.
to provide a deeper dive into the theoretical underpinnings.
Exactly.
Right.
Readings can offer valuable context,
Right.
introducing research findings, theoretical frameworks, or even contrasting viewpoints that enrich the discussion.
It's like the difference between looking at a map and actually hiking the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
The map gives you an overview,
Right.
but it's the actual experience of navigating the landscape that provides a true understanding.
Whew. And the paper highlights how prestigious universities like Columbia are integrating case studies across various disciplines,
Okay.
seeing positive results,
Yeah.
increased student engagement,
Yeah.
deeper learning,
Okay.
and better achievement of learning objectives.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It suggests that this approach is more than just a theoretical exercise.
Right.
It has real-world impact.
Absolutely. And you know what's even more exciting?
What's that?
The skills honed through analyzing case studies. Critical thinking,
Yeah.
problem solving,
Right.
perspective taking.
Right.
These are valuable assets in any field.
So it's not just about becoming better students, it's about becoming more effective thinkers and decision makers in all aspects of life.
Precisely.
That's cool.
And that brings us back to the heart of this deep dive,
Yeah.
the transformative power of effective learning.
Yeah.
It's about more than just memorizing facts. It's
Right.
about developing essential skills,
Right.
cultivating critical thinking,
Right.
and embracing a lifelong love of learning.
We hope this episode has provided you with practical insights.
Yes.
And sparked your curiosity to explore the world of learning and instruction further.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're inspired to try a new learning strategy.
Yeah.
Delve into the research on a particular educational approach,
Right.
or even share these insights with others.
It's a fascinating field.
It is.
And we've just scratched the surface.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
We'll see you next time, ready to explore another fascinating facet of how we learn and grow.